When you reach Union level 17, you will unlock a new game mode called Illusive Realms. What this is, it's a roguelike mode similar to Honkai Star Rail's simulated universe for those who are familiar. Now, why I wanted to bring this video to your attention is because of the fact that you can beat all difficulties except the 5th one right away when you unlock it. The reason why you're able to do this is because the game actually allows you to pick a trial character that is leveled up according to the difficulty, which I find really nice. It's not until level 5 that you are forced to use your own characters, which will probably want to be level 70 minimum, and that's going based on my experiences with the other difficulties. Now, why would you want to beat this right away? The rewards, of course, they're really nice, especially the shop. It has a bunch of Astrai in it, which is very nice, but the main reason I wanted to do this is because of that bait of an echo, which is not an echo, it's just an alternate appearance of that echo. I'm dumb, I know. All that aside, the rewards are great. Of course, if you wait to do this mode later on when your characters are more beefed up, these floors will probably be easier and you don't even have to use the trial characters. But for those who are low level, which I'm assuming is most of us, and those who want to beat this right away, this is going to be a guide on how to do so. I'm not going to be very specific with how everything works, but I'm going to give you the basics of tips and what to know. So firstly, you will be introduced to an echo selection. Essentially, whatever echo you pick, you want to be that echo's bitch. And what I mean by this is that you want to be getting buffs according to what the echo wants for their upgrades. Take the Chad Crownless for example. To get him to level 1, he wants 3 electro points. To get this, you will want to grab buffs that have electro points. There will be ones with 1 point, some with 2. You get the idea. For the later upgrades, he'll also want fusion points as well. Overall, be the Echo's dog and supply your master with what they need. You'll also be able to select another character. Now, you can only use them for their intro skill and ultimate. You can't use them entirely, but they're still useful. For my experience, I found that Verena is the best to have, just because she can heal and keep you alive. She is priority pick in my opinion. Also, I would like to mention, you don't necessarily have to have a third character. They can help, but honestly, don't sweat it if you don't get an option to get a third character. You can live without them. Another thing you'll want to know are the character upgrades. Just like Echoes, your character can be enhanced. Depending on your character, their upgrades are insane. The MC, for example, their upgrades are good, of course, but they're nothing crazy. For Gion, though, it gets absolutely crazy. Personally, I don't think you need anything specific for character upgrades to beat this mode, so just choose whatever you think is the best. As for progressing through this whole thing, I found myself going through fierce struggle domains the most. I don't have enough experience to say which domains are the best, but I do have enough experience to say that unknown domains are not recommended. Similar to occurrence and transaction domains from Star Rail, they're random. So if I have the choice, I stay away from them because I think the guarantee buffs from the other domains are best. One thing you also want to do is look for these rocks with runes on them. I actually can't believe it took me until difficulty 3 to realize these are a thing, but they will drop either a cat for buffs or fragments to buy buffs from a vendor. If I never accidentally figured this out, I probably would have not known about these for a while. So be sure to look out for them. They can be a big help. So yeah, overall, grab the right buffs for your Echo and you should be fine. If you do that, fighting the bosses should be okay as long as you're also not too terrible at the game, because you want to be relatively decent at dodging and parries. The last tip is to make sure you grab the buffs from the perk tree. Whenever you can buy them, do it. They will be helpful. Now, let's move on and talk about the difficulties more specifically. For the first 2 difficulties, 1 and 2, I found them pretty easy. All I did was use Crownless, which, by the way, He is so goddamn cool. You get to play him basically. He's so badass. I just want his bodily fluids all over me. But anyway, grabbing as many buffs for him and getting his upgrades make these difficulties a breeze. All right, he does a lot of damage. It's pretty easy. So with that, let's move on to difficulty 3. This is where I started to have trouble. All right, took me a few tries. And that's mainly because my dear daddy Crownless lacked something important: survivability. Now, personally, it wouldn't have been a problem if I was simply just better, but let's just talk about Inferno Rider. This guy has it all. He has damage buffs and survivability. This is because of the fusion buffs having a lot of damage benefits from them, but also because he wants ice buffs, which have shields and heals in them. So, Inferno Rider ended up being my grace. Anyway, for this run, you get to use Gion for the trial character. Having his upgrades make him insane. I know earlier I said to choose the upgrades based on what you think will be good, but just let me suggest grabbing the upgrades that allow him to use his ultimate more often. Like I said, he gets insane. For the Echo, like I said a moment ago, Inferno Rider is the guy for real for real. It's best that you get him to his max upgrades. You'll probably be fine to survive with a minimum of 3 upgrades, but in my successful runs, I've always had max, so that will be the best. Also, make sure to grab Verena for her survivability. For the boss fights in here, you want to be pretty good at parrying and relatively good at dodging. Try to get those parries off so that the toughness bar goes down faster and so that you can kill them faster. The bosses will get an attack buff if you don't kill them in time. And this is no small buff. It's a big buff. So unless you're a god at parries and dodges, you will die real fast. Anyway, as long as you're decent and have plenty of buffs, you will succeed. Moving on to difficulty 4. The process is basically the same. The only difference are your choice of characters. You get a choice of Tao Chi and Yang Yang. My first run, I decided to go with Tao Chi, pleasantly surprised on how good she is. She has great survivability and damage, but unfortunately, once I got to a boss fight, it was crownless. I lacked DPS and ran out of time. I didn't last very long. That could have been bad RNG for the boss because crownless is resistant to havoc damage and Tao Chi happens to be havoc, so that was very unfortunate. But in the end, I decided to run with Yang Yang. Let me tell you something. She is a sleeper. She goes crazy. Starting out, it'll be slower because her DPS isn't insane, but once you start racking up those upgrades, she'll go ham. Just as much as Gion, in my opinion. Just look at this. You won't be able to see shit if you end up like this. This is crazy. So yeah, in difficulty 4, I was able to blow my load on the boss while being fine for the most part. And to be honest, difficulty 4 was easier than 3. Sorry, Gion. Yang Yang is just better. That's a joke, by the way. Don't take that serious. Bro seriously cracked. Anyway, TLDR, Inferno Rider W. Grab the right buffs, and a lot of them ideally. Be pretty decent at parries and dodges. Look for those rocks. Avoid unknown domains if you can help it. And all in all, you should be fine. So with that, I hope you find the video useful. If you're curious about difficulty 5, hypothetically, you should be able to use these same methods to beat it, but you have to use your own characters. So when I get to the point of doing that difficulty, I'll be sure to make a guide, probably, maybe, I don't know, we'll see. If you have any other questions, comment down below. I'll be sure to try my best to answer them. Thank you all for watching. Like and subscribe if you want to see more. I'll see you guys in the next one, and take care.